Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and take my word for it, I'm smiling. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Hey, I'm just reading the National Tattler right now.
Anything good?
Just all serial killers.
Yeah, you're reading the personal ads. We are dorking out about 1986's Manhunter. And also, I think we're going to get into Red Dragon from 2002. I think
we might go nuts.
I think we might go nuts. We watched both. I think I have a lot of comparisons, so we're probably going to talk about them both. But it's based on the book Red Dragon by Thomas Harris, and Manhunter is written and directed by Michael Mann. It's the first appearance of the character Hannibal Lecter. And this is all for Scary Movie Month. # Scary Movie Month. Manhunter stars William Peterson, Tom Noonan, Dennis Fiera. Did I pronounce it right?
Farina.
God damn it. Brian Cox. Joan Allen. I didn't know Joan Allen was in this. I totally forgot. And Stephen Lang.
Stephen Lang, an unrecognizable Stephen Lang. I feel like he looks so different now.
He totally does. I was like, why
in a great way. He looks he's very handsome.
Yeah, when I saw his name in the credits and I was like,
who was he?
I was like, I know the name, but where was he? And then I was like, oh shit. he looks very different to me now. Did you see Manhunter in the theater?
Yes. And it was a thing where I was on a date and I didn't realize I was on a date. Thought I was going with a friend. Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
You go, yeah. So I equate this like the uncomfortableness that I feel when I watch the movie.
Yeah.
It goes back to very young Margo.
It's not a date movie.
No, it was not. And anyway, but it was a great movie, but I also had to be like in the middle of it. I was like, oh, I think he likes me. That took over my brain.
I have
good
that
to revisit.
I have that association with Tim Burton. I think it's Tim Burton's Big Fish. Did you ever see like a movie that I don't like now because I was on a date and I was like, oh, he likes me. And for some reason that annoyed me that he liked me. And so I was like, now I don't like the movie either. It's kind of weird.
Insecurity is a very messed up thing.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Yeah. I saw this one in the theater too, because as we've established, parents don't give a shit about the ratings. And my mom took me to see this. And this movie's fucked up. It's not appropriate for me.
No, I was gonna say,
like it's a really good movie. Like I haven't seen it in a long time, and I texted you last night, and I was like, "This is really good."
It's been playing on Criterion all summer.
Yeah,
it wasn't a big hit at the time.
No,
it's now a cult classic.
Yeah, and I could see why. So this is the first one with Hannibal Lecter, and then after this, we get Silence of the Lambs with Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. And then what's after that? Hannibal? Right?
Hannibal, Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, that's the TV show. Then there was Hannibal the movie.
There was young Hannibal. I'm actually kind of a completist.
Yeah, so I want to hear about this.
So there's this young my confusion, and of course somebody's going to answer it in 2 seconds and make me feel stupid, but like exactly when was he born? Like how old is Hannibal? Because he's played at all these different ages by all these different men. But Hannibal, if you go to the origin story that was created, he was born in, I think, Lithuania, Eastern Europe, and had a very damaged childhood shock, which is why he turned out to be, a cannibal.
Right.
He was friends with Will Graham. They trusted each other. He and Will Graham worked together at the FBI, and Lecter was someone they would hire when they were trying to figure out serial killers and psychopaths and bombers and shit like that. And I also read all the books. He attacks Will, and in the book he messes up his face. Will's very handsome, and that's one of the things. They didn't do that to Ed Norton or to William Peterson.
Yeah, that's their money makers. We need the face. No,
they need to be cute. They got a little scar in the chest. That's kind of sexy, but that's it. Hannibal is convicted and put away. Will retires because he's so freaked out by what happened to him. And then Jack Crawford, who's played by several different people.
Yes.
But here it's Dennis Farina, who used to be a Chicago cop. You can hear the accent when he's talking. He brings Will in because there's a guy called the Tooth Fairy who's killed 2 families.
It's pretty gruesome. Like,
And
just full on
horrifying.
slaughters this family, including kids and pets.
And pets, which is, yes. Yeah, exactly. So it's this gruesome crime and they can't figure it out. And he is on a lunar cycle. So it's like when there's a full moon. Will is brought back in. He's got this gorgeous wife, gorgeous house. It's like Miami Vice
Gorgeous
on
house. I was like, I wrote in my notes, I want to go to there.
I want her wardrobe. Like, she was a wardrobe goal for me. I watched that movie. I was like, I want to look like her. I want to dress like her. I want to be tan.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
She's stunning. She's gorgeous. And they have a nice kid. They have a cute kid. And he's retired. And Dennis Farina brings him back.
One last job.
One last one before I really, really retire this time, you guys. And Will comes back and then he investigates. And his MO is to kind of reenact the scenes in his head. And he has to talk it out loud. He has to look at all the evidence. He tries to get into the mind of a killer. He's a profiler, which in the years to come, it would become more well-known in the media, but this is kind of rare at the time. And it's controversial. Some people think it's total bullshit, and some people think it's real. It's who knows. But he's profiling this character. And then, well, you start talking. I mean, what do you think?
No, I actually think this movie, we're talking about the original Manhunter right now from 86. It is almost a template for what CBS will become, in that every show on CBS is like Manhunter is.
It's like 15 years. It's all that.
Yes. It's all all profiling and the science of it. And Manhunter is gruesome, but it's also really procedural in a way that
it's critical.
Yeah. And Red Dragon is not that. No. And I think William Peterson is really, really good in this movie. And I know, like, the movie didn't get, like, amazing reviews, and some people even shit on his performance. But I actually think he's really good in this. He acts like someone who is good at his job and is pretty broken. But he's trying.
Yeah, he's empathetic. He's trying. He's empathetic. And he really feels for the victims and what they're going through.
Yes.
But in order to figure out who did it, he then has to be sympathetic in a way to the killer, just to identify with them so then he could find them. That's the only reason. And so they figure there's this publication called the National Tattler, which is the Inquirer, the National Enquirer.
It's 100% the Inquirer. And
the Inquirer was famous for celebrity scoops, and they either were total fucking bullshit or on the money. And usually, like, if the National Enquirer said somebody had cancer, they had cancer. They had money in all these hospitals in LA and New York. But they would make up shit. Also things like, I was abducted by an alien and now we're best friends.
Yeah, stuff. Bat Boy.
Bat Boy. You know, Dolly Parton and Bill Clinton. Is there something going on at the White House with them? I mean, it was that kind of silly. It probably was, actually, but silly. It's silly. It wasn't respected as a journal. But I think they were based in Florida, and it was so kind of trashy. I mean, their leads were, misspellings were in there. Grammatically, it was all over the mess, and the camera work was never great. But they sell them right by the register, and they were one of those things, like, people picked them up and they paid $3 for them or whatever.
You got sucked in.
Exactly. And so one of their things, which is also ahead of the trends, is true crime and serial killers. And there's a reporter named Freddie Lowndes, who's played by Stephen Lang in the movie. It's Philip Seymour Hoffman in the remake.
Yes.
And he's a scum, and he's like 80s douchebag personified. Just the bushy hair and the suit and the, hey, you chumps, I'm going to blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get my scoop on you. You know, it's funny to watch them back to back because there's some things that are lifted directly. That must be from the book.
Yeah.
but they decide that this guy, and he's a total sleaze, but they decide what they're going to do is they're going to draw out the tooth fairy. And how they're going to do that is they're going to say, okay, we spoil everything, by the way, just so you guys know. They say, well, we think the profiler says, we think the killer molests the men and he molests the children and he's a loser and he's a product of incest and he's a this and a that, just to make him mad.
Yes.
And to bring him out.
Hannibal thinks he's a joke.
Yes, thank you. And Hannibal thinks he's a joke, and they're writing to each other in the personal. This is a thing, kids who are young. There's a thing called the want ads in the back of these publications, and that's where they made most of their money. They would charge people a shitload of money to post like personal. That's how people got sex. That's how people made friends. That's how they sold their shit. And so Hannibal and this guy, Tooth Fairy, are going back and forth writing each other. Hannibal thinks he's a loser, but Hannibal's bored. He's in jail.
Yeah.
And he's flattered. Somebody thinks he's like, he's, oh my God, you're like the best killer ever. Oh my God. If I could just be like you for a day, it would mean everything. So because they were writing back and forth to one another. Anyway, so trying to bring Freddie out, and Freddie has a lot of hubris going on. Nobody ever calls him on his shit, I guess, because he publicizes the story and then just kind of walks about like, do.
Yeah.
And he gets abducted by the Tooth Fairy. And we should say the Tooth Fairy is Tom Noonan.
Yeah.
And he's 6'50". I don't know.
He's creepy.
He's creepy. He's very tall. He's very pale. And the character has a cleft palate, and it gives him kind of a speech impediment. And he's very reclusive. And the kicker is that, and this is another thing, kids, people used to have to develop film. It was a thing.
Yes, the movie is dated in this way.
In a few ways. But I mean, when you used to take a camera, you put film in it, and you would take pictures, and then you'd be able to be very careful to take it out, the film out, or you just drop, like if it was a disposable camera, you could drop it off. But you would drop it off at a place, and if you were lucky, within like 24 hours, you would get your photos. I remember as a kid when we lived in the middle of Pennsylvania, like I would send it out and like 2 or 3 weeks later they would come in.
That was a thing. Like, and then they developed these 1 hour photo mats, and you would get them in an hour. They didn't always look great, but you got it fast.
Or if it didn't expose at all, like you would find out in a couple of weeks or a couple of days, like, oh, it's all blank. You have to do it over again. And so this is the update is that in the story is people are sending their videos. And this is another thing. You would just create all this videotape, and people didn't have editing equipment at home. You would send your tapes in and say, okay, we want to make a family video. The wife with the kids and the first birthday and stuff. And so that was a whole other production that went on. And that would take weeks and weeks and weeks to happen. People just do it on their phones now.
Yes. I actually worked at a place that used to make copies of VHS tapes.
Oh, yes.
For places. Like, the company itself made videos for like for businesses and stuff if you needed to make your own videos. But they also could copy videos for people. So like people would drop off their movies or their like kids dance recitals, and like I'd run them through the and make copies for them all the time. Making copies.
Rob Schneider joke. Got it in there.
Yeah.
Just in time.
And I was super creepy about it. I watch all the tapes and then I stalk all the people. No, none of those things happened. I did make copies, but I didn't watch them because they were boring.
They're very boring and it's tedious work. And, I'm sorry, your son is exceptional, but, most kid parties are.
Yes. Boring.
Yeah, grandma and grandpa waving. They're, it's like that's the same shit over and over again.
Yes.
But so his name is Dollarite. That's his real name, the Tooth Fairy. And he has a crush on a woman that works there. And it's Joan Allen. Of course he has a crush on her. She's gorgeous. I couldn't believe
it was Joan Allen. Like,
I love her.
Yeah, I do too. And she's very cute. She's blind and she works in the dark room. And he has a crush on her and she can't see what he looks like. He's very self-conscious about his cleft palate. Yeah, and it's actually really not that bad.
Not at all.
No. And by the way, in Red Dragon, Ralph Fiennes, he's still fine as fuck. Like, I would I'd hit it.
I would
totally hit it. I'm like, dude, Come on.
Well,
He wouldn't have trouble meeting ladies.
It's also this world, men are the center of the world. And if they're disappointed by anything, it's a tragedy.
Totally.
It's like everybody has to, oh my God, does he feel insecure? Like, yeah, we all do. Come on.
Yeah, grow up, dude.
Grow up. But she's blind. And then there's a guy that works at the office that they're both kind of hitting on her because she's very pretty and she's a very strong person. She doesn't like pity. She doesn't like people feeling sorry for her. And she got the gig because it was one of those things where they had to hire someone who had some sort of handicap, is as she says it in the movie. But anyway, they go out on a date.
Yes.
And he gets lucky. And
first he takes her to like a zoo.
I love the scene with the tiger.
Yeah, and because she says she loves animals or something, and so he takes her to the zoo where they have sedated a tiger because they're going to fix its tooth. It has a broken tooth, and she gets to pet the tiger, and I'm like, that would seal the deal for me too. I'd be like,
I would totally, yeah.
I'm like, it's pretty cool.
It's a panty dropper move, I'm telling you, because I get to feel the heart and I get to like pet its nose and sniff it. I'm like, yeah, I'm in.
I want to boop its nose. Boop.
I just want to give it a nose boops. I just want to rub its belly and hear the heartbeat. I mean, that would totally work for me.
I know we all are like, tigers are beautiful and they're so cute and we think they're big cats. They will destroy you. But they're super, but it's all sedated and...
But it's exciting in that way because
what
if the sedation doesn't work for a second and it just snaps out of it? It can eat you.
It's scary.
That's exciting.
It is exciting.
That's thrilling. It's thrilling. So he gets lucky with her.
Yeah.
And then she leaves him for the day. And then he later on, the other guy that works at the office gave her a lift home. And he's like watching her as a creep across from her apartment, thinks they're making out or something. He kills that guy.
Dude, that poor dude.
Who's doing nothing.
He did nothing wrong. He gave her a ride home, and actually there was some like pollen or something on, like he was like brushing something off of her. It was like not, he wasn't being a creep at all. And he has to die. And then Red Dragon, it's like, it's Frank Wiley. Is that, or Whaley?
Yes.
Wally. And he's like, I'm going on vacation. I'll see you in a week. And it's like, bam. I'm like, sucks to be that dude.
Not a great part.
Not a great part for him.
So then he kidnaps her. And this goes back to what is a trope in Silence of the Lambs, is a woman being trapped in a space and having to fight her way out. And this is what's happening with Joan Allen. And in the meantime, William Peterson, like, Hannibal's a dick. He's played by Brian Cox. He gives away Will's address to the psycho and says, just take them all out.
Yeah.
And when he kills them, the whole thing is that he's looking at their home movies and he's so obsessed with the people.
Yeah.
And then he breaks the mirror and he puts slivers of the mirror in their eyes.
Really fucked up.
It's really messed up. But it's very stylized. It's like I said, it's like Miami Vice, if you know that show.
Yeah.
It's like that on crack. It's like super white colors or very dark. And it's very 80s, the suits and the clothes and the like woman with the hair.
And the music too. The music is too.
Wow.
A lot of synth music, you know. I'm fine with it. I like that stuff.
It's great. It adds to the tension.
Yeah.
Will saves her and Will gets home. Hannibal, gets a tongue lashing from the Baltimore, like, now.
Yeah.
We don't do this. And he goes back to his isolation. And it's great. I think it's the scene. It's a little long. I think like some scenes are just a little draggy, but it's a slight, it's only a 2-hour movie. What am I even complaining about? I think it's really interesting mid-80s thriller that like nobody got at the time.
Yeah.
And like you said,
it's aged well.
It has. Sure, it's dated in some respects because you're like, what's a camera? What's a this? What's a that? But What's a video?
Right.
Why is it? And I'm also, part of me, this is another thing, I'm like, but he only took out 2 families. Like, are they really thinking there's a connection? But I mean, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
2 families are terrible. I'm not saying that's nothing, but I would think like
that's like he's barely a serial killer. Yeah.
Well, one's in Alabama and one's in Georgia. I'm like, how do they even? But it's the FBI involved.
Yeah,
so
I think it's the mirrors in the eyes, right?
Right.
I mean, that's a pretty big tell, I would assume.
Yeah. So that's a calling card. You probably shouldn't be doing that. That does kind of, but we all should say Freddie Lowndes doesn't end up well in either version. And between the two, I mean, they're both very terrifying scenes.
Yeah.
Because Dollarite kidnaps them and then traps them in a chair. And then Philip Seymour Hoffman, in his scene, he's in his underpants, his tighty whities.
Yeah.
And he's glued to the chair, and he apparently wanted to be glued to the chair. Like he was a method actor or something. Oh, dear. Yeah, I know. And then he's just begging for his life.
You have to really bite my tongue out. Sorry, I'm very method. You really have to bite my tongue.
That's something that Dollarite does. Yeah, in each one. And it's pretty, and he records it, and he sends it back to the FBI. But they get him out, and that, the good guys reign, but we lose Freddie Lowndes in the process.
Yes.
And scare the shit out of people about sending their videos to.
Don't do that. I hadn't rewatched this in a while, and one of the things I really enjoyed in this rewatch is the performances. I think William Peterson's really good. I think Brian Cox is really good, and it's no slight on Anthony Hopkins. Like, Silence of the Lambs is one of my favorites. Like, I watch it every year. I love Silence of the Lambs. I think he's amazing in that movie. They all are. I love it. Brian Cox in this movie feels more human to me than Anthony Hopkins. Like, Anthony Hopkins, Hannibal Lecter is, I don't know, he's like, he feels so inhuman to me. Like, there's something, and Silence of the Lambs doesn't have it, but the other movies have it, and Red Dragon has it too. They like have to like kind of lean into that like Lecter lore or the backstory or the hints to Silence of the Lambs and things like that. And Manhunter didn't have to do that because it was first and nobody gave a fuck. So they could just kind of, Hannibal was a character.
Hannibal Lecter's name was spelled differently in the movie. It's Lecktor.
Right.
And it's another thing, like, is he from America? Is he from England? Is he European? Brian Cox's accent's kind of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But he's also like, when he takes the telephone and he puts the chewing gum, like the foil from the chewing gum, and is able to make a long distance call and just starts like, hey, honey, can you give me the address for this guy? Oh, I know there's a thing by the phone. You can find it right now. And he's very charming and quick and gets the information. I remember when I wasn't freaked out in the movie about the guy sitting next to me and like, how am I going to get through this? Because I'm very awkward right now. But I was young, you guys. But I was like, oh, this guy's scary. Like he looks like, the thing with Lecter, if you look at the whole character, is that I don't buy Brian Cox as like this great chef and super charming.
Yes.
And having the hoi polloi, dying to hang out with him and have dinner at his place and not knowing what the meat is. He doesn't tell them. I don't believe Brian Cox would be like, why don't you come to my place? Like, I don't think so.
That's true. Valid point. He doesn't have like the like hoity-toity class factor that Anthony Hopkins brings to that. And I do think he's really good in this, though. And
yeah, he's terrifying. He's scary. He does the job.
Yeah.
But it's not the Hannibal. But it's an interpretation. That's all.
Yeah. There's also a Dr. Chilton appearance in Manhunter, but he doesn't seem to be the incompetent asshole that we get in the later ones.
Chris Elliott is in this movie.
I know. I was like, what?
What's he doing here? It's great. I mean, it's just sort of, it's just after Schitt's Creek, watching Schitt's Creek on a loop, I was like, oh my God, that's right. He was on David Letterman.
I'm like, what's Roland doing in this movie?
What is he doing? He's in this movie. I mean, lots of really good people are in this movie. The cinematography's fantastic. It looks great.
Mm-hmm.
William Peterson is sexy. I'm telling you.
He is sexy. I would too. And he's good. Like, we're going to talk about Red Dragon here in a minute and Edward Norton. This is no slight on Edward Norton because I super love Edward Norton. And we're going to talk about how much we love him in a second. But like, William Peterson's performance looks like a man broken who going to fucked up places in his head has fucked him up, and he acts like it. And he like the scene, like he's like on the airplane and he's like looking at these fucked up pictures of crime scenes.
That was your kid sitting next to him.
Yeah, and like a little, like he falls asleep because he's like, it's like, this is just what he does now for work. It's almost like he's so fucked up in the head that like he could just fall asleep with this shit on his lap because it doesn't even faze him anymore. And a little girl sees it and she's like, bah! Like terrified, as she should be. And I think it's like a weird scene, but I think it shows like how almost desensitized he is to stuff like that he doesn't even think about it. It doesn't even occur to him that maybe this like 8-year-old girl next to him would be really freaked out by that shit.
Or anybody on that plane would really rather not see that by accident or whatever. That doesn't need to be in the little tray thing in front of you. No, thank you, sir.
No. And
just take a Valium and pass out like everybody else.
And Edward Norton in the movie, his character doesn't seem as traumatized by what happened. No. So like the Will Grahams, I would think William Peterson, then is it Hugh Dancy or Darcy? So I never watched the show. Should I watch? What? Should I watch it?
We're stopping recording. You're going to watch the entire. It's my go-to, up there with The Sopranos on my rewatch.
Oh my gosh, you like it that much, huh?
I like it that much.
All right.
When I can't sleep and I'm at like a hotel or someplace, I put on Sopranos or like the creepiest shit you can imagine. But it lulls me to sleep.
Like, why does Hannibal make you go to sleep? I would think it's the opposite.
I kind of want to have sex with Hannibal and Will. I'm not going to lie. They're attractive.
Do you mean together or separately?
Separate.
Got it. Okay.
Separate.
Look, I don't know. I'm not kink shaming. I'm not kink shaming.
No. It's my own insecurities, but it's my own weirdness. But anyway, it's really well done. I mean, the Freddie Lowndes they have in that version is a woman. They like and they have Lawrence Fishburne playing his boss
Crawford.
Thank you, Jack Crawford.
Got it.
It's also it's when you get to know Silence of the Lambs, and we did this for Book versus Movie. We did a whole episode about it. Jack Crawford is a very interesting person and very traumatized because he's dealing with his wife who has cancer and dying. That's what's happening in that whole movie. When he's dealing with Jodie Foster and dealing with all this other stuff, he has a wife at home dying. In the TV series, you get to know that more. I mean, in here, you don't see him with his wife. And in the 2002 movie, you'd see Harvey Keitel, and there's a woman sitting up in bed when he gets a call in the middle of the night. I'm like, lady, go to the doctor. Maybe they could catch it now. Yeah. I want to save you. But anyway.
Early detection.
Yes, go. Please. Go now, please. But anyway, so that's those are my Will Graham. I think I love Ed Norton, and you and I were just admitting off the air, like I had a dream about him.
I did too. I watched Manhunter and Red Dragon. Finished it this morning before we were recording. Also had a dream about Edward Norton.
He's sexy. I'm sure he's a sexy. Huge pain in the ass.
He probably is, but I have had a crush on Edward Norton since I saw him in Primal Fear. Same. And this movie just kind of reignited that crush. What was he doing in your dream?
He was hanging out at my place, but it wasn't here in Brooklyn. It was someplace else, and with two other stars, and I can't remember them. But we were driving, and then we got Ed Norton like confused me, and I got in a big bad car accident, and then he took off. I was like, well, you're on your own now, and just left me. So I don't know what any of that means, but it was nice.
I was walking somewhere with him, and then I told him I was really sorry that I hadn't seen Motherless Brooklyn yet.
I watched it for my book.
Is it good?
It's fine. It's fine. I
will get to it.
He's a great actor, and you can tell he's very committed, and his energy level is always kind of simmering. That's his whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's what he did with Hulk, which it didn't really work.
Mm-hmm.
But he does this simmering, Will is, I'm retired. I'm not going to, and you look at him like he's going to go. He's not going to even think about it.
Right.
It's interesting. He's paired with Mary Louise Parker. She plays the wife here in the 2002 version. And she is such a great actress.
Yes. That
they try to kind of build up her character, but she's always going to let him go. He's just, Will's got a will. Like that's just that's what it is. But they do have like a scene where he teaches her how to shoot. And you get the idea she could shoot the shit out of people.
Yeah.
Now.
I actually like that scene. That's not something that's in Manhunter, but it is in Red Dragon. And I actually like it because he's looking away while she's doing it. He kind of has his head like tilted. It's almost like he feels so terrible that she even has to learn this, like that he can't even look at it or something. I don't know. There's just,
it's upsetting.
I did like that scene.
I did too. I mean, I always think she's good. I was thinking about it when we talked about The Client and how good she is in The Client. Like she doesn't have to have a big part, but she makes her presence known. I've seen her on Broadway a couple of times, and she does have that charisma.
Yeah.
But who do we have? We have Harvey Keitel in the 2002 movie.
Yeah, it's directed by Brett Ratner, and we've done a What a Creep episode about him. He's a creep. So
he's a loser.
He's such a loser. So please feel free to go to What a Creep and listen to us talk about Brett Ratner. He sucks.
I mean, the movie is good.
It's super watchable. I had forgotten how watchable that movie is.
And it's Emily, what's her last name?
Emily Watson.
She plays the blind woman.
Mm-hmm. And she's really good
really
too.
Good. She's great. And we didn't mention, well, we did mention, but who plays Dollarite in 2002? Ray Fiennes.
Yes.
There's a whole thing that's in the book and not in Manhunter, but in this version of Manhunter, Red Dragon, I'm talking about, where he eats a painting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really messed up.
Yeah.
But that's like he's inhabiting the portrait in him. That's how screwed up he is. That's how nutty he is.
It was interesting to watch these movies back to back, and the Tom Noonan performance in Manhunter, he seems more sad and tortured and more like this is truly out of his control. And I felt like Ray Fiennes is also like it's sad and tortured, but not as much so. And he does seem conflicted, but he seems more in control to me.
Yeah.
So I had a little less sympathy for I don't have sympathy for them at all. Let me rephrase that. But like, it seemed a little less sad and he had more control is how it felt to me.
Yeah.
But I did like it.
Yeah, they're both good. They're both really watchable movies. I think Manhunter is more of a classic. It's just, like you said, in 15 years, this is what television looks like.
Totally. It was ahead of its time. Very
much so. And I thought that, you should definitely check out Hannibal. That's a really great TV series. And Mads Mikkelsen is incredible.
I will check it out.
So what did you think of the Julianne Moore version?
Oh,
did you ever see that?
Yeah, I saw that in the theater, and I know that movie has its fans.
Yeah.
I was not one of them.
Same.
Maybe because, and maybe this is unfair, but like I said, I really love Silence of the Lambs. I think it's like a perfect movie, really.
Yeah.
And there was no way Hannibal was going to live up to that kind of movie for me.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work for me, and I didn't want there to be like romantic connections between them, and that seemed really gross. And the whole final scene where with Ray Liotta was like, it's so fucked up that
It's so fucked up.
I'm like that. I just in the theater, I wanted to vomit. Like it made me want to vomit, which I guess is what it's supposed to do.
Well, it's good that it revolts you. I mean,
Yeah, it would be disturbing if I was like, now I'm hungry. Like
I
that.
need some brains.
Yeah, I'm also going to have brains. Like that would be fucked up. It didn't work for me. Did you like it?
No, I mean, I really hated the book. I was one of those
Ooh.
people that was super pissed off about it because everything about Clarice that we love is her strength mixed with her vulnerability.
Yeah.
And her willingness to not put up with bullshit, to call people out when they underestimate her.
Mm-hmm.
And to see her become, in the book, spoiler, she becomes so enchanted with Hannibal that they run off to Europe together.
Ew.
And it's like she's hypnotized, and they hang out and go to all these like operas in Europe. And they're a couple.
See, that's like, it's like fucking fan fiction to me or something. I was like, ew, I don't want to see that.
And Thomas Harris took years to make that happen. And this is a guy who doesn't do any publicity. He just writes these books and that's it. He doesn't talk to press. Then there was, I don't think Thomas Harris had anything to do with it. If I'm wrong, correct me. But there's the movie that's out that's young Hannibal. And he grows up, and it's like, I guess it's post-war Europe or around when the invasion. When was Hannibal born? That's my big question. But it's really gruesome. He and his family are kind of attacked by a mob, and it's like right after the liberation in Europe from World War II, and his sister is eaten by cannibals, and he sees it, and then he becomes one because of that, and that's why he's all messed up.
Is that in the TV show too?
No, the TV show's like, that's bullshit. No.
See, because that seems like I don't need that much backstory for Hannibal.
No.
Can he? I don't need that. I'm like, he could just be a fucked up person. I don't need that much story.
In TV, it's interesting because it's Hannibal and it's Hugh Dancy and it's all this other great stuff.
By the way,
but
that show was on network television, which totally blows my mind.
And it's scary. And I have a pretty, I like scary stuff. And I was actually kind of terrified by it. Gillian Anderson plays a psychiatrist.
Love her.
Yeah, she's like the person that Hannibal has to kind of like, he has to have therapy sessions with.
Okay.
And she messes with him a little bit. So I think you would like it.
All right. I'll watch it. I think it's on Netflix now, so
yeah,
I will check it out.
Yeah.
I'm going through my notes to see if there's the other thing I wanted to point out about Red Dragon that I did like. There is probably because of money, Manhunter kind of wraps up pretty fast. Where like the killer, the Tooth Fairy, kidnaps Joan Allen, brings her back to his house, like, and William Peterson shows up, and like they have a gun battle. Red Dragon like drags it out a little bit. Like he kidnaps Emily Watson, he brings her back to his house, he sets a fire. You think he's killed himself, but you don't really see it. So you're like, and she doesn't see it because she's blind. And you think maybe that's the end of the movie. And then they have this nice scene with Edward Norton and Emily Watson where she's like, basically, I have shitty taste in men. I attract fucking mass murderers. And he's like, it's not you. Like, the man was drawn to you, not the monster, and all this stuff. And I did like that he had so much empathy for her and that he wanted to make her feel better. That I don't know if that's in the book or not, but that is not something the William Peterson version of Will Graham would have done, because he seemed not to be able to read a room that way. Like, he wouldn't have done that for her.
No, he walked her out. He's like, I shot the guy and I'll help you out because you're blind.
Yeah. Like, he wouldn't be like, and now I'm going to tell you something to make you feel better emotionally. Like, he seems like he would be incapable of that. And in that way, I feel like the William Peterson Will Graham is able to very easily put himself in the shoes of killers, but he's not very good at maybe putting himself in the shoes of victims. And the Edward Norton character seems the opposite to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was an interesting choice. That's what I wanted to say. I went through some lists of stuff that Michael Mann, other movies. He hasn't directed like a ton of movies, Michael Mann. And there's Manhunter. And then after Manhunter, he did Last of the Mohicans.
Oh, with Daniel Day-Lewis?
We did an episode on this before you joined the show.
Okay.
I love The Last of the Mohicans. I fucking love Last of the Mohicans. I could even look at it and be like, this movie is very flawed. I would watch it right now if you put it on. I love it.
I love the Ben Stiller show satire of it, where they have like the runner, like the elliptical, not the elliptical. What's that we're thinking of? When you're running on a track, an indoor.
Treadmill.
You have it in your house, treadmill.
Yeah.
And it's the Last of Mohicans treadmill, and Daniel Day-Lewis and Stiller is running in costume with the thing swinging from his hands, like,
I will find you. I love Last of the Mohicans. So he did that one in 92. After that, he did Heat. That was in 95.
Overrated.
You think so? I haven't seen it in a long time, but I liked it at the time.
I think the scene with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, I think, is a big letdown. I think it could have been written so much better. I know, I'm sorry. And I think Al Pacino is chewing the scenery in this movie.
It was kind of his jam in the 90s.
I mean, it would be a good one to cover.
Yeah, we should put it on the list. I just remember the bank robbery scene was like the shit for me.
Val Kilmer's great. Val Kilmer is wonderful. Yeah.
And then after that, he did The Insider.
That's a good movie.
And I was like, that's a good one. And then we get Ali after that.
It's okay.
I'm like, it's fine. And then Collateral, which I think that's the one. Tom Cruise, and he's got the gray hair, and Jamie Foxx.
Mm-mm.
And I was like,
I've seen it.
And I was like, that's fine. And then there's the Miami Vice movie, which
stop it.
Did you ever see it?
No.
I actually liked it, but I remember thinking it was going to be terrible. And I was like, I don't think this is terrible at all. I actually liked it.
It's not terrible. Put that on the poster.
It's not terrible.
Sonia Mansfield.
I actually liked this with I actually liked it. And then after that, he did something called Public Enemies. And now I'm going to click on it. And I was like,
oh, we were there. We were in Chicago together.
Yeah. I'm like,
it's about John Dillinger. It's
right.
It's not good.
No.
It had all the makings of a good movie, and he fucked it up.
I'm like, no, we're not going to be watching that one. We don't want to watch stuff with Johnny Depp. And then after that was Black Hat in 2015. And that's with Chris Hemsworth. I'm like, shit, I need to watch that.
I don't know what that is.
It came out in 2015. That was 6 years ago. That's the last movie Michael Mann made? Dude, what's up with him? Anyway, there was something else I wanted to tell you before we go into movies of 1986. Do you know who else was almost cast as Lecter in Manhunter?
No, who?
One of our old man crushes, Brian Dennehy.
No!
Brian Dennehy would have been a terrible Lecter. Because I would have been like, he's cute. Put me in the cell with him.
We love Brian Dennehy. Oh, my old man crush.
Old man crush, Brian Dennehy.
Oh, swoon.
I know.
Swoon.
Other people considered were John Lithgow, Mandy Patinkin. I'm like, yeah. And then director William Friedkin.
Ugh.
I'm like, he's a fucking asshole. That wouldn't even be a stretch for him, right? He's such a prick.
Nah.
And then for the role that William Peterson played, apparently they were considering like Richard Gere, Mel Gibson, and Paul Newman. And I was like, Paul Newman would have been too old probably for that part at the time.
Who was in his 70s at that time?
I'm like, I love Paul Newman. I think he just would have been
doesn't?
a little old at that point, but I like William Peterson. I think he's good. Do you want to hear some other movies from 1986?
Yes, I do.
Okay. These all came out August 1986. Friday the 13th, 6, Jason Lives. I don't think I've seen that one, so I have no comment. Howard the Duck.
That's the first Marvel movie. It is.
It's hilarious that they should put it in the box set with all the other Marvel movies.
Leah Thompson wants to direct the Howard the Duck movie. She wants to give it its due.
I think she should go for it.
I think so too.
I think she got a lot of hate for that movie, and it was not her fault.
She got a lot of shit from that movie.
Not fair.
No.
One Crazy Summer.
Love One Crazy Summer.
We love One Crazy Summer. We will do an episode on that one someday. She's Gotta Have It.
Spike Lee's first movie.
Yeah.
I know about that.
Armed and Dangerous. Have you seen that one? It's John Candy and Eugene Levy.
I think John Candy wears a dress.
Maybe. I think they're playing security guards or something. I'm sure I saw it, but I clearly have not thought about it since then. The Fly.
Great movie.
So
really gross.
Good. So gross. So good. Extremities. Farrah Fawcett.
Oh, that's a really intense one.
Yeah, that one's super intense. Stand By Me.
Great movie.
So good. I don't want to think about it though, because then I'll start crying. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Great movie.
I have never seen it. Should I watch it this October? Maybe I will.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Last October, I watched the first one for the first time, so maybe it's time to watch the second one. And then the last movie on the list, Shanghai Surprise. Sorry,
Who's in that?
It's the one with Sean Penn and Madonna.
Oh God.
Such a bomb. The biggest bomb. They were married at the time. Oh, it was bad.
They're called the Poison Pens.
It was so bad.
That was what it was called, yeah. Do you want to hear about the top hits of the summer of 1986?
Yeah, I do.
Jermaine Stewart, We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off.
I love that song. We don't have to take our clothes off. Love it.
The Bangles, If She Knew What She Wants.
Oh, I love the Bangles.
Me too. I love the song Steve Winwood, Higher Love.
I love that song. My friend
Loved
just
it.
went to a wedding and she sang that song at the wedding.
Aww.
And I was like, that song is dope.
Peter Gabriel, Sledgehammer. Great song.
Such a good song. Love Peter Gabriel.
Talking about Madonna, Papa Don't Preach. That was a big deal. Remember that?
Such a big deal.
New Shoes, I Can't Wait.
I still love that song.
Great song. And the best song of 86, I think, Kenny Loggins, Danger Zone.
Danger Zone.
That was a hit.
I'm like, I probably say just say Danger Zone once a week. Danger Zone. Did you ever watch the show Archer?
Of course, I loved Archer.
I used to love.
Kenny Loggins was the best on that show.
He would say that Lana, Danger Zone. I loved it. What else are you dorking out about, Margo?
So I found something on Netflix that confuses me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to watch it twice because I was like, am I watching what I think I'm watching? It's called The Comey Files, I believe. I'm sorry. It's about Mike Comey from the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that said Hillary Clinton's emails, they were fine, they're not fine, they're fine, they're not fine.
Yeah, that prick.
That asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so it was on last year on Showtime, and then now Netflix is streaming it, and it's 4 episodes, and Jeff Daniels plays him.
Oh.
And they put brown contact lenses on him. And he's so stiff, and they're always trying to make him look tall because Comey's like 6'8" or something.
Right.
So they like they slant everything to make him look really, really tall compared to the other actors.
It's like they filmed it like he's everyone else's fucking hobbits, like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're hobbits. And Brendan Gleeson plays Donald Trump, and he's actually pretty good. But they have all these other people, and the whole thing is like, basically it's like, Comey is such a good man. He's so honest. He's so forthright. He's just by the book and such a great guy. And I'm like, yeah, he let all these gymnasts that were being molested by Larry Nassar, like, didn't investigate it because that's not exciting for them.
Yeah.
It's, he's got a lot of black marks on his record. And Jeff Daniels gives the weirdest, stiff performance. And just, it's recent history. To watch recent history this way was very weird. I don't know if I could recommend it.
Yeah.
But I think like, just check it out for a few minutes. It's just really weird.
I am going to check it out for a few minutes because I want to see the forced perspective of how they make him look like a giant compared to everyone else.
It's honestly hilarious. And I have to say, I watched since last time Many Saints of Newark. I've watched it a few times. It's almost 3 times I've watched it now.
Oh, wow.
I like it better each time. I wasn't too thrilled with the first watch, but I really enjoyed the second watch, and I'm super enjoying the third watch. I think it should have been a 6-part HBO miniseries. Why they didn't do that and they had to make a movie, I don't know. But the stuff that's there is really good. It's really strong.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that'll convince them to do that. It didn't do well at the box office. I mean, shock. People watch this on TV, man.
Yeah. It doesn't feel, I'm sorry, David Chase. It just doesn't feel like a movie to me.
No, but it's very well cast and everyone's, it's on HBO Max, and I say check it out.
Okay. Do you think, is it really for super fans, or will someone who's like, yes, I watched The Sopranos, I will like this movie? Will they like the movie, or do you think
if you've seen The Sopranos, you'll like the movie?
Okay.
If you have no idea what The Sopranos are, you're one of those people that just rebellious, you don't like what other people like, this is going to be all confusing to you.
Okay.
But there's enough there for super fans, but I think it's totally enjoyable.
Okay, because I watched The Sopranos and I loved The Sopranos, but I haven't like rewatched The Sopranos over and over, so I'm wondering if I would miss a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't think that's not going to inhibit your enjoyment. I think there's enough of a story there that you'll enjoy it.
All right. It's on the list. I did start, because people have been mentioning it to me, Squid Games. But I've only watched like 1.5 episodes, so I don't feel I'm qualified to weigh in quite yet. But I know that everyone is fucking batshit insane for Squid Games. So we could talk. I'll bring it up next week.
Okay.
I don't want people to think that I'm ignoring the cultural phenomenon that is Squid Games.
No, they're also talking about Comey, so trust me. I don't even know why I brought it up. Everyone's like, what is she talking about?
And then what I've been doing is the new Halloween movies coming out October 15th. So I've been rewatching Michael Myers movies. So last year I had watched 1, 2, and 3. And so far this October, I've watched 4, 5, and 6, which kind of all go together. They're all like a certain storyline about like these like druids that like they're fucking tattoos and they worship Michael Myers and all this stuff. So they kind of all go together. 4 is that's the one that's the return of Michael Myers, I believe. That one is surprisingly fun, and it's got your man Sasha Jensen in it.
Oh man.
I totally forgot that he was in that. And I was like, if you like slasher movies and Halloween movies, 4 is really, really fun. 5 and 6 fucking suck. They're so bad. And I was like, I'm so disappointed. Here's the thing with Halloween. These movies seem to not give a shit about like killing characters that you like. And that bums me out. So like if somebody survives 4, they get killed in 5. And if you survive 5, you get killed in 6, like in the first like 20 minutes. And I was like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
That's a shitty thing to do. 6 is really bad. And it stars an actor who goes by Paul Stephen Rudd. I did not know Paul Rudd was in 6. And 6 is really bad. And I was like, Paul Rudd, what are you doing in this movie?
He's a young actor. He's making a living.
Yeah, I mean,
this was bad yet.
This was like right before Clueless, which is when he like really kind of took off. So it was just funny. I didn't know he was in it, and I started it, and I was like, Paul Stephen Rudd, and then I was like, what the fuck? It's not good. But 4 is good. And I'm thinking before the new one comes out, that's the Jamie Lee Curtis one. I think it's called Halloween Kills. I'll be able to finish H2O and Resurrection and the 2018 one, I think, before. So I'll continue my binge.
Your journey. Did you watch any of the Rob Zombie movies?
No, I don't know if those are for me.
Yeah, they're a little much.
Yeah, I like 80s slasher movies. I don't know, the like practical effects of them, and that kind of works for me. And I don't know, there's something about Rob Zombie, the aesthetic of his movies don't appeal to me, so I haven't watched them. Now keep in mind, like I just said, I've never watched them, so maybe I know they have fans and people love the Rob Zombie Halloweens, and they love, what's his other ones, like Devil's Rejects and 3 from Hell and stuff. Like, people love that stuff. I just don't think they're for me.
They're not for me. I didn't like it. I didn't like his interpretation. I think his wife stars in it.
Yeah.
The first one. And it seemed very slut-shamey, you know.
Okay.
Michael's the way he is because mom's a whore, you know. That's what happens. And I just don't. If I remember it correctly, I could be wrong. But I felt like as a director, his aesthetic isn't my thing. It's very quick shots. It's very over the top. I don't think he tells anybody to rein it in ever.
Okay.
I think everything is just, and I prefer better performances. Sorry.
Yeah. Also, well, that's interesting what you say about like Michael Myers' mom was a slut. Maybe we don't need all that backstory for Michael Myers. Like we already got a little bit of one, you know, in the first movie. I'm like, we don't need even more. Like, I don't know what is this overwhelming desire for us to understand these monsters?
Why he does what he does.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are we doing Halloween next? Or are we doing?
I think we're supposed to be doing Scream.
Right.
Or we're going to be doing Carrie. I forget which order we're doing those in, but those are coming up.
Okay. Yeah, because Halloween, I think they tell the story right away. Like the sister gets, spoiler, the sister gets stabbed, and then this kid comes out with a gigantic knife, and he looks like a little Macaulay Culkin, like he's little. And the parents just stand there for the longest time, like, well, that's odd. He's got a bloody what's going on?
But that's plenty of story. We don't need.
That's all I don't need no, it's already like he's a weirdo and he saw his sister, you know, he heard his sister have sex and he just, I don't know, he's a weirdo. That's all.
Yeah, he's just evil. And 4, 5, and 6 tried to, especially 5 and 6, there's all this stuff about like some sort of secret fucking cult that like worships Michael Myers, and like they're stealing babies, and it's just fucked up and stupid and weird and just really mean to like I said, to characters that survived the other movies and then brutally, gruesomely murders them in the other ones. That is so ugly and shitty that it fucking ruined them for me. I was like, I don't want to ever see 5 and 6 again. I'm like,
I'm with you.
No thanks. Hard pass.
Yeah.
But I will continue and watch H2O and Resurrection and the 2018 Halloween, which I really liked at the time, and I'm curious to revisit, and then I'll watch the new one because I really like Jamie Lee Curtis. I think she's awesome.
And Kyle Richards is in it.
Oh, that's right. You told me
From
that.
Real Housewives.
That's right. All right. I'm in.
Yeah.
So, Margo, where can people find you on the internet?
You could find me on social media at Brooklyn Fitchick for Twitter and Instagram, and my site is brooklynfitchick.com.
And if you like the sound of our voices, and of course you do because you're not a monster, we also co-host a podcast called What a Creep, where we talk about creeps from the past and the present, and then we end every episode with someone who's not a creep, so you don't think the world is a dumpster fire. It's super fun. Please join us. You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. And you can find Dorking Out at dorkingoutshow.com. And we're on Twitter, and I don't really go to our Facebook. And sometimes we're on Instagram. And some people have asked, and if you want to talk about Dorking Out, you could go to our What a Creep group, but you have to be listening to What a Creep to get in. So you need to listen to both.
We make it needlessly complicated, but it's all free.
But it's all free, and it's to keep the group safe and troll free.
Yes, exactly.
But if you really want to, you could go to the Dorking Out Show Facebook page, and I'll try to check it. Sorry, Facebook. Anyway, this was super fun. I'm really glad that we talked about Manhunter. It gave us a chance to talk about Lecter, and it reminds me to put Hannibal on my list. The show, I mean, not the movie.
I think you'll really like it.
All right. It's on the list.
I'm looking for my copy of National Tattler right now. Al Gore, abducted by aliens, forgets to invent the internet.